so far, analysis has shown the most heavily impacted places are the swing states, with the down ballot differences and everything. We haven't released our in-depth analysis of non-swing states, but we are seeing some concerns in Texas, the same concerns in Texas. We've actually found some counties in California that have raised concerns as well. And so we talked about Pennsylvania, right? 225,000 anomalous votes or so.
What does
North
that
Carolina.
mean? Explain to me, define anomalous votes just for my people listening.
Fraudulent.
No.
So what an anomalous vote is we do, and Dr. Medbin, his model, does an analysis of precinct voting behavior. And so it looks at every precinct in a county, every county in a state, and it looks at how are both candidates performing across those precincts. If we start to see that a candidate is getting more votes in places where there are more votes, that could be indication of ballot stuffing. If we're starting to see other patterns that don't match normal voting behavior, that flags those votes as anomalous. And that's what we're seeing here is we're seeing 225,000 votes that are anomalous and their behavior matches potential vote manipulation. So in the case of Pennsylvania, we're seeing a lot of potential vote stuffing, potentially, where you're adding in votes for one candidate.
And the machines could do that?
The machines could do that, yes. If you compromise them, yes.
So I just want to say this. So you're basically saying that the worldwide expert pretty much on who's come up with the program to prove that elections in other countries are being cheated, messed with, votes changed, whatever, came to our country and is now looked at it using a model that we know works worldwide and is saying that this guy is saying possibly 225,440 votes in Pennsylvania were possibly fraudulent, which would exceed almost by more than 100,000 votes. So
Trump beat her in Pennsylvania by 120,000 plus votes.
She would have won.
Yes.
And do you remember Trump saying that, he's got those machines wired in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's we don't need your votes. You remember all that stuff he said?
We don't even need you to vote. We have so many votes.
He did say that a certain person knows those vote counting computers.
He did.
And we won Pennsylvania like in a landslide. Two things that was important is one, we asked him to apply his methods here. It never, I think that's what's interesting is it never kind of came up. There's no process. There's no protocol. We don't do this automatically. Why are we not looking at our elections automatically? And the other thing is, I think as you mentioned, is let's compare this to statistical analysis of banking fraud or a murder, right?
Right.
This isn't proof, right? This isn't proof. All we're showing is, statistically speaking, there is evidence that something happened. It warrants an investigation. It's the same thing as saying, hey, I don't have the body, right? But I've got the dude's missing. And there's all of these other bits of evidence that's pointing to this.
We've got him getting in a car and a camera. We got him getting in a car and a camera. We've got, got it.
And what sucks about what we're doing now is we know where the body is, hypothetically speaking. It's in the ballot boxes. It's in the ballot boxes in these counties in Pennsylvania. But no one's letting us open up those ballot boxes.
What would be the problem with recounting? What would be the problem?
There is no problem. We would pay for it as well. That would be the thing is we would pay the bringing in the volunteers to pay the county's time.
And what are they saying?
I can say this now. As of today, the Pennsylvania Secretary of State's office and the state government's office has denied our request for a meeting. They have denied our request for recounts or audits. They've said, no, this isn't something we care to do. So.
And we don't want new graphs showing a spike in suicides.
Yet, do you remember that Cyber Ninjas, Trump paid for Cyber Ninjas who spent 6 months or 4 months recounting every vote in Arizona? Yeah. And my theory is, and it's a theory, is the reason is that because you showed us what really worried me. I thought about after you were here last time, I thought about 2020 and I thought 2020 was a canary in the coal mine and their first shot at it. But because of COVID, because of the write-in, the mail-in votes, they didn't bet on that. And do you remember Trump saying repeatedly, mail-in votes fraud, it's fraud, it's fraud, because I think my theory is he knew what they were doing. And that's why the numbers changed so much. Remember your precinct model where you'd say at 500 votes, things started changing. At 250 in 2020, things started changing. Do you remember this?
Well, and also...
Yeah. So now you got a guy you got a guy saying, and he started saying again that 2020, I'm going to prove that it was fraud. I think it's because he knew it was fraud because he was committing the fraud. That's my theory.
And the mail-in votes are less. There's a little more security because of the time it takes to process them and all that.
And they're local people. They're just people helping process this.
Yeah. So if he has less control, if he can lose on the mail-ins, he's going to try to weaken that.
Yes.
And
that's what he did.
But doesn't it seem like when you look at 2016 and then you look at 2020 and 24, doesn't it seem like somebody got cocky, like really didn't give a shit? Because those graphs are so blatant that it just seems like nobody cared. It's obvious.
I will say the concerns we're seeing, there are some direct quotes from 2020 talking about how mail-in voting is fraudulent. Illegal aliens are voting by mail. The Democrats are rigging the election using mail-in, things like that. That was said in the 2020, up to the 2020 election. I think what's important now is we're seeing this problem, but no one's willing to talk about it, right? None of the candidates who could have been potentially impacted are willing to talk about this.
Why?
It's almost, I'd like to describe it as the boy who cried wolf, right?
Yeah, but is it because? So, what do you think that is, Nathan? Because if I was Kamala Harris right now, I guess it would look like sour grapes. I guess because Trump said it so long. I sent the link to Eric Swalwell. I was like, you got to watch this, man, and because I've talked to him once or twice, and I never heard anything back. My question is this. Is it because they know they can't change anything? Is it because they know all hell will break loose? Is it because, what do you think? Why wouldn't anybody who saw this go, what the fuck is going on? We need to recount.
So I have actually spoken to some people, and their response is generally, if they believe it, they can't talk about it. They can't look like them. They can't, step out of line from their party's messaging. And that seems to be the limit. Is you spent the last 4 years saying our machines are secure and our elections are free and fair. And then now you can't do a 180, even if it could be the truth. You can't do a 180 and say, hey, surprise, we need to look into this more. And I think that is the problem, is we might just be getting, it's politics, really. And that's my concern.
And there's another tactical side here that let's say we did prove it. Well, guess what happens to our elections for the next decades? They're going to come into question every single time. So you got to defeat it behind the scenes.
Yeah, but okay. So we have to talk about this for a second. But here's the other problem. What we didn't have in 2020 that we had in 2024 was we had Elon Musk, who worldwide is known as one of the highest tech guys in the world. It is so obvious that that it's easy to go, hey, you had one of the most important tech guys in the world
and Trump,
involved in it.
who says everything that out loud said and he knows these machines.
We have enough circumstantial evidence to at least force a recount. I understand what you're saying. But the problem is, if we don't do something and we don't get people to step up, we don't get the Democrats to go, hey, you guys got to look at this, because I know what's going to happen. They're all worried. Oh, then we're going to get called. We're going to be said that we were faking an election. But the reality of it is that, well, yeah, and we have evidence of it. The other side didn't have any evidence of it. We have evidence of it, and we had the highest tech guy in the world, and we need to restructure our system because someone figured out a way between 2020 and 2024 to rig the system. So
I'll throw a few things in here.
Because if we don't, one last thing, Nathan. If we don't do anything and we leave this as it is, it just we lose elections for the rest of till America's over.
Well, a few things then, as you mentioned, right? If you do say, hey, our elections could be manipulated going forward, it's going to be a common thing. What's important is the work that the Election Alliance, Smart Elections, and these other organizations have been doing. Is we're showing you how can you make sure elections are free and fair. We're showing you, hey, you can apply statistics to elections. So every election going onward, you can do this analysis. And if things are strange, you can look. And if they're not, then you can be more confident that our elections are being ran correctly. But what's more, we didn't even talk about this yet, but we did. We have North Carolina numbers as well.
Okay.
So Pennsylvania, right? Well, so we're looking at, per Dr. Walter Mebane Jr., in his analysis, in his model, we're looking at around 207,000 possibly fraudulent votes, anomalous votes. The margin of victory in North Carolina is 102,000 votes. So if this is the case as well, or sorry, let me walk back. North Carolina specifically, I think, is 184,000 votes. Dr. Walter Mebane has two categories. He says up to 207,000 votes could be fraudulent. And he says with high confidence, at least 102,000 are,
there you go.
Per his analysis.
Okay, that's what
and so we did the same analysis, not as advanced. We looked at precinct voting data. We're seeing up to 197,000 votes.
Holy
so that would be enough to change the outcome of North Carolina. 183,000 votes pro-Trump. And it could be they were changed or added in or manipulated in some way to help him win that state, if this is the case.
Has anyone done any analysis on the machines and how it's possible to, what would it take to do this?
We have so Smart Elections, for example, has highlighted a few concerns with the machines. But I'll talk about the machines here in a second. Let me throw two other things at you real quick. So we talked about Arizona and Wisconsin too, right? You saw the drop off. You saw the charts.
Yeah, Arizona looks nuts.
What's that?
Arizona looks nuts. Arizona, it's such a weird. The graph is so obviously wrong compared to what
there's only a few
elections are supposed to.
counties. Right. Yeah, there's only a few counties. It's super noticeable.
Right. Go ahead.
Now, we estimated, so this is a slightly different analysis. We're just saying, hey, if the drop off is caused by vote manipulation, how much of that? How many votes? We haven't looked at the full precinct level voting data. We haven't gone all the way down to the county and the precinct level, but at least 119,000 anomalous votes in Arizona and at least 20,000 anomalous votes in Wisconsin. The margin of victories are pretty close in those states. Another probably 20, 30, 40,000 votes either way in Arizona would change the outcome. On top of this, as I said, we haven't looked at the precinct level data. So this is almost enough to change the outcome of those states alone. Just looking at the top of the ballot.
And vote difference. And here's the other thing too. If you could manipulate it, it's weird that all the swing states, all of them were under the amount that triggers an automatic recount. We're outside the recount margin. They were just over the requirement for an automatic recount.